Hello and welcome to my channel. Today is Wednesday, so it's time for Missing and Murdered. This is a decent length one, but it's unsolved, as far as I remember. I don't know, I've written so many in the last few weeks, trying to catch up, but, it's still a little rough. It's a little sad. It's always sad because most of them are children, so. But content warning, we're talking about homicide and murder and rape and other things, as always on this channel. So with that being said, let's get into it. This is about Carol Ann Cole, and she was a 17-year-old American homicide victim whose body was discovered in early 1981 in Bellevue, Bossier Parish, Louisiana. The victim remained unidentified until 2015 when DNA tests confirmed her identity. Cole, native to Kalamazoo, Michigan, had been missing from San Antonio, Texas since 1980. Cole's killing remains unsolved, although the investigation is continuing. Carol Cole and her sister Linda Jeannie Phelps lived in Kalamazoo, Michigan, primarily under the care of their grandmother after their mother and father divorced. Later in life, Cole decided to leave Kalamazoo to accompany her mother Sue to San Antonio, Texas in 1979 at age 15, but remained in contact with her sister by telephone. Cole was at a girls' home run by the Palmer Drug Abuse Program, also called PDAP, on West 23rd State Street in Austin, Texas from May to October of 1980. She continued to call and mail letters to her family, which eventually ceased in late December of 1980. A location that Cole had stayed after leaving PDAP was traced by her grandmother in Kalamazoo to a home in Shreveport, Louisiana. Her grandmother called the residence, where she was informed that Cole had departed to attend a party, but she had never returned. Linda Phelps and her friend Patty Thorington continued to search for her, but were unsuccessful. Cole had been previously excluded as a possible identity of the victim by a medical examiner for unknown reasons. Some sources state that Cole may have spent time at a religious institution known as the New Bethany School for Girls, which was located in Arcadia, Louisiana. Her sister noted that an image taken around the time of Cole's disappearance at the school depicted a group of girls sitting in pews, one of whom bore a strong resemblance to her sister. Investigators have followed such leads. A woman claimed to have spent time with a girl that bore likeness to Cole, but was unable to recall her name. Some also believe that the explanation for the names written on the victim's shoes, as well as the style of clothing, may have been due to a dress code set in place by the New Bethany School for Girls. On January 28, 1981, a female victim's body, believed to be between the ages of 15 and 21, was found concealed by trees in Bellevue, Bossier Parish, Louisiana. The victim wore jeans, a white long-sleeve shirt with pink, yellow, and blue stripes, a beige sweater with a hood, shoes with the names Michael Briscoe, David, Resha, and D. Davies, white socks with blue and yellow streaks, white boxer briefs, a white bra, and a leather belt with a buckle reading Buffalo Nickel with a buffalo design. None of the names on the clothing amounted to meaningful leads, although they were speculated to have belonged to companions of the Jane Doe. The victim had also painted her fingernails prior to her death. The shoes were later determined to have been size 7. A knife found in the soil near her remains is thought to have been the murder weapon, as the victim had been stabbed 9 times. Most of the evidence recovered from the scene was destroyed due to a fire in 2005 at the facility in which they were stored. Isn't that how it always works? You get the evidence, and then when you finally have the technology to test said evidence, it suddenly magically vanished into thin air. The victim was believed to have been white, with possible Native American ancestry, and was murdered by sharp force trauma approximately 4 to 7 weeks before her body was discovered. The remains were in an unrecognizable state of decomposition. She was around 5'5" to 5'6" and weighed between 125 and 140 pounds, placing her at an average build. The victim's hair color was determined to have been blonde, straight, and shoulder length, and her eye color was unknown due to the state of her body. The victim had orthodontics at one time when alive and may have removed the brackets from her teeth herself or by someone not affiliated with an orthodontic company. It was later confirmed that Cole had broken the braces from her teeth by herself before her disappearance. Investigators had difficulties with establishing the identity of the victim, as there were no means of identification present at the scene and there were no known witnesses. Convicted killer Henry Lee Lucas confessed to the killing and many others that he did not commit. This was later proven to be impossible, as Lucas was confirmed to be in Florida when Cole was killed and has had a since established pattern of false confessions. Because of the decomposition of the body, the victim was reconstructed at first with a three-dimensional clay model and later with a digital method by the Louisiana State University Faces Lab. Once technologically possible, DNA was eventually extracted from the victim's teeth, which would be used to compare against missing persons. Cole's sister, Jeannie Phelps, filed a missing persons report for Carol, although she suspected foul play after she was unable to locate her, and the report was also entered in the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, abbreviated as NamUs. She and Cole's childhood friend had also used Facebook as well as Craigslist to garner awareness and information for the case. The grandmother who was determined to find Cole had since died, but Phelps maintained a strong interest in finding her sister. Meanwhile, on February 6, 2015, the local sheriff department and Bossier Parish started a Facebook page in an effort to identify the young woman. See, there have been good things that come from Facebook. You might be a little touchy, but there are good things that have come from it. In an effort to identify the young woman who had come to be known as Bossier Doe. It usually is, I mean, you have so many people that are unidentified, so they're usually named after the county they're found in or the county that they think they were, like from or whatever. It's really hard. I'm sure there's numbers added to some of these because multiple victims can be found in the same area, but they tried to stay away from just reusing Jane Doe over and over again and then giving like a different name so that they can kind of keep track better, is what I understand why they don't just call all of them Jane or John Doe. Within days after the creation of the Facebook profile, over 500 individuals had friended the Bossier Doe account. The number increased to well over 1,000 after less than a week. On February 6th, the 911 operator named Linda Erickson saw the Facebook page with Bossier Doe's image, then notified detectives when she came across a Craigslist ad with a photo of Carol Ann. It was a Craigslist ad that Patty Thorington, a friend of Carol's sister, had placed in an effort to find any information on the missing girl's whereabouts. By February 13th, Thorington said someone at the sheriff's office emailed her regarding their Bossier Doe case. DNA tests were then conducted after officers turned to Cole's family, using the victim profile against those of her parents. After tests were completed, it was announced that Cole and Bossier Doe were indeed the same person. After this announcement, a GoFundMe was created for the expenses of a new burial and headstone for the victim, as the family was struggling to pay the means to transport Cole's body and for a headstone. Cole was later buried in the Maple Grave Cemetery in Cornstalk Township, Michigan, on June 18, 2015, after a funeral service. Since Cole's identification, investigation is now aimed at locating the person responsible for her death. Frances Aucoin, whose father, John Chesson, discovered Cole's remains along with her brother, told officers that she suspects he is responsible. Police confirmed that Chesson is considered a person of interest in the case, especially because of his conviction for the murder of his estranged wife's mother, but he has yet to be considered the prime suspect. Aucoin believes that Chesson had decided to go hunting for the first time with his children to establish his innocence by finding the victim's body and reporting it to the police. She went into further detail, describing her father as abusive, and that she believes that a young woman he had brought into their home was Cole, whom he had picked up as a hitchhiker. Aucoin's brother, a witness in finding the body, committed suicide in 2008. Sad. Chesson is currently incarcerated for life for the murder of his estranged wife's mother, which occurred in 1997. So, I mean, it sounds like Chesson's probably the suspect that they should be, totally going for, but at least if it is him, he's already in prison. I mean, it's sad that, somebody else had to die for that to happen. I always say that. I always hate the fact that it usually results in more people having to die before they can, figure it out. But he's in prison where he belongs for killing his estranged wife's mom. Dude, not okay. That seems a little much to me. But he's in prison where he belongs and where he'll stay. So that's the good news. And that is the end of the story of Carol Ann Cole. It is sad that her family went through all of that effort to find her, only to find her deceased. And I always think it's so sad how long some of these people go without being identified. She died in 1980 and wasn't identified until, what was it, 1990 something, I think? Yeah, Nope. It was 2015, so not that long ago. I know it seems like a long time ago. I know 10 years seems like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. So, like, she died in 1980, but nobody knew who she was until 2015, and that's sad. And, you know, you have to assume that by that point, her mother's gone, her father's gone, the grandmother that was, you know, so determined to find her was gone. It's never easy to come to terms with that, knowing that you've lost family before you could find out what happened to their child. But at least the remaining family has the answers, and she's with her family in heaven. As always, though, please don't do anything I wouldn't do. Be cautiously kind to others. Make good choices. And please don't go hitchhiking. It's bad. It's not safe. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.